And who is the senior?
I am. Ma'am.
The palace was lovely for Thanksgiving, all the peacefully reflected in a royal circle relative of the majesty. Crystal patterns decorated the ceiling, and the lengthy dining table was complemented by golden chandeliers, the best Chinese and silverware, and a host of other quality dishes. Changed from an environment of ugly to beautiful, a way of life because the royals collected what should have been a non-violent family dinner. The monarch was positioned sitting head of the desk, and other princes, and princesses joined to use the meal, using key categories of the royal family. Immediate members of the royal family, cousins, aunts, uncles, and a few friends of a relative were there. The menu was a ceremonial dinner suited for royalty. A roasted turkey, mashed potato, cranberry sauce, and wine from the family-borrowed vineyards. But, as I said, regardless of such a deliberately pondered prior situation, the evening was gradually coming closer to the desired sensation. That relaxed, cheerful teasing characteristic of such fraternal meetings began to decline, transformed with the assistance of an emergent spirit of sarcasm that one could even perceive from the observer's point of view. For most of this past century and the greater part of the past half-century, there has been an unavoidable fascination with the House of Windsor because of allegiances, ancestries, and references, if not the facts, of schemas. House of Windsor has always needed spectacles for the public, whether it's for the steady reminder of the heritage or for the millions the story of love, betrayal, and wars for the throne.
Windsor Castle is a royal residence at Windsor in the English county of Berkshire. It is notable for its long association with the English and later British royal family, and for its architecture.
Such exposures have once again placed the royal family in the eye of the storm, as to the demeanor of their newly minted queen, Camilla, regaining her infamous remarks supposed to have been made about the late Princess Diana. The private circles to which the alleged remarks have been made were an attempt at provoking debates and reviving tensions between, on the one hand, a few ultra-royalists, and on the other, the public. It wasn't long before the primary signs and symptoms of discord started to appear. Subtle modifications in the body language of some of the royals have ended up vast. A moderate stiffening of the other time prevented gazes and compelled smiles, topics that have been difficult to disregard for the ones familiar with their family's dynamics. A secret agent from the royal household determined that tensions had been brewing for months, and it appeared as though the Thanksgiving dinner might be the right opportunity for effective troubles to move lower, back to moderate. According to the deliverer, one of the senior royals, who seemed outspoken in their reviews, started to voice their frustrations about the contemporary family options, particularly concerning an exchange in royal duties and obligations. As the conversation began, a hushed silence fell over the table. Everyone seemed to be expecting the subsequent phrases to be spoken. The typically serene setting had shifted, and truly, all of us inside the room must experience the growing unease. But it was certainly the start of what needed to be a dramatic nighttime. This is pretty much a relationship that is a perfect match to the periods of history that are most incompatibly conflicting between Catherine, the wife of the Prince of Wales, and Camilla, the Queen Consort, embodied by two royal women of that kind in this generation. Along with the confrontation in their dealings, the issue not only blows, but also is a part of the two customers' personal, internal struggles driving the new story of the family. The details we must know are what this story is about, like love, loss, and women's unmet expectations in an environment where they are always under the royal glare. According to resources, this trouble has been bubbling beneath the floor for a while, but no individual had anticipated it to explode in this type of public way.
The royal family's most senior women have been in the spotlight following the loss of their matriarch, Queen Elizabeth II.
One royal reportedly made a sharp remark thinking about the reasons for the choice, which soon escalated right into a full-blown war of terms. What was observed changed into a heated exchange of phrases, with every issue protecting their function passionately. They are modified into no turning once more from this factor. The dinner, once full of pleasure and delight, had now changed into a battleground of critiques. The sudden death of Diana in a car accident late in 1997.
The princess who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently trying to evade pursuing photographers.
Brought about a sad mood universally across the international community. The working or people's princess, Diana had indeed turned into the symbol of impartial and eternal strength, which people otherwise felt was lost in the stiff orthodoxy of the monarchy. Consequently, not only did a great promise die for her, but also a personality that was adored by people of the 20th and 21st centuries left with her. The subsequent mourning was dignified and total. It had never been witnessed before. People stood outside of royal palaces worldwide, placing flowers and lit candles to express their grief. In every corner of the world, people mourned the death of Princess Diana, leaders, stars, and ordinary folks. Her funeral was broadcast to billions across the world. Elton John's Candle in the Wind became a heartbreaking send-off tune. Diana's loss generated a void in many people who regarded her not only as hope and a symbol of humanity, but also as a woman who had managed to penetrate the unreachable palace walls to reach people. 3 months before Diana's fatal accident occurred, and in the 8 years that had passed, the royal family was in another critical moment of its long history. Camilla became an official royal, even though in 2005, Queen Elizabeth II was forced to give her blessing for Charles to wed Camilla. For Charles, it defined the climax of a long-time love affair with the lady he dedicated over 30 years of his life to, believing she was his soulmate. For the monarchy, though, it was a subtle game, an effort to change a status quo without really upsetting the feelings associated with Diana's memory. The marriage also represented a change in public relations as the once socially rejected couple tried to form a force in the royal palace. But Camilla has always been the subject of controversies, even as she assumed the position of the Duchess of Cornwall. To her critics, she was the woman who contributed to the misery of Diana, a notion that was difficult to dismiss, particularly to those who continued to see Diana as the real embodiment of all the good things associated with royalty. While this event turned out to be unexpected for many, it wasn't unexpected. The Erning family has had a real percentage of public conflicts and internal conflicts over the years, from rifts held between odd characters to long-running glory rivalries that end up in the news. There have been plenty of problems bubbling beneath the surface. In the past, there were issues of competition for influence over influential members of their own family and royal responsibilities. Disagreements over relatives' fate, planned legacies, and public images led to more than one public comment and media scrutiny. This Thanksgiving dinner turned into somewhat of a financial disaster indeed, in a long period involving real royalty drama. Sources close to the palace decided that the tension in the former was too much dinner as an oddity because of the truth. Some relative groups of people who say they consider any special loyalty and role in royal officials into. So it's Thanksgiving dinner now. Not the easiest to smooth their family gathered, but the deeper, unsolved problems are revealed. Camilla's refusal to acknowledge Diana's mental illness or untimely death in her long-term relationship with Charles is a disagreement, and her situation fueled public and royal audience hostility. And she has no remorse or responsibility for the emotional damage caused by her actions. A principal problem in the 20th century came about Diana. Some have read Camilla's remarks, or lack thereof, as contemptuous of the large effect the affair has had on Diana's life and recognition, given her pivotal function in the notorious royal scandal. The affair turned out to be greater than just a non-public transgression. It became a super trouble count in Diana's life and fueled her loneliness, betrayal, and inferiority within the royal family. In a well-known TV interview, Diana boldly said, "There were 3 oldsters in this marriage, so it has emerged as a piece crowded, highlighting the difficulty she needed to go through."
Do you think Mrs. Parker Bowles was a factor in the breakdown of your marriage?
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
The public replied strongly to Diana's candid and heartbreaking declaration, which strengthened her reputation as a strong, persecuted kid who overcame a not impossible situation. The hole between Camilla and those who preserve Diana in high regard has exceptionally widened because of her seeming refusal to face this past, especially in the wake of Diana's passing. Many take into account Camilla's unwillingness to be given duty for those incidents. Catherine has consistently emerged as the embodiment of the legacy of the modern Diana, showing the warmth, grace, and intimacy that yearned for her over-commanding mother. This view made Catherine unlikely to be first popular with the general public, not only, but also very different from the income-earning family that kept him busy, constantly measuring his every move through Diana's scrutiny. But his relationship with Camilla, Queen Consort, is shown to be fraught with anxiety, especially as their personalities occasionally clash with royal business agendas. The date between Catherine and Camilla is also said to be a very stressful one. At one point during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations, a historic occasion that saw the royal family hold a mass to mark the late Queen Elizabeth II's 70th birthday, the glory of his enthronement. When the event became intended to be one in each of harmony and joy behind the curtain, it has been said lately that it intensified the tension between the two women, providing friction, not to mention Prince Louis, the youngest son of Catherine and Prince William, whose dynamic actions during the celebrations won the hearts of thousands and thousands of people. Rumor has it that one king tried to be greater tactful by permitting arguments to be mentioned in person after supper. This belief changed into promptly rejected, and the dialogue went on, most effectively turning into greater excessive. As this became going on, the royal rotation, mainly the younger individuals, sat quietly, their expressions demonstrating how easy matters had been. Another family member shook his head and left the meal at one factor. The royals had been now no proof against the emotional toll of the debate, and there were many legitimate motives for the crisis. While this event turned out to be unexpected for many, it was not entirely unexpected. The Brotherhood royalty has had its fair share of public and internal squabbles over the years. From the constant divisions between well-meaning people to the long-standing popularity contest that has permeated the media, tensions often simmer under a fault. On the other hand, there were speculative rumors that some members of the family resisted influence and royal responsibilities. Disagreements over the family's destiny plan, legacy, and public image prompted a couple of public comments and media reports. This Thanksgiving dinner has turned into no other financial disaster in the long truth of the royal history of the dude drama. Sources close to the palace revealed that tensions were high ahead of the dinner, with several family members reportedly discussing the loyalty and role of each exceptional member of the royal hierarchy. As a result, this Thanksgiving dinner is not just a pure family gathering, but has become a manifestation of a deeper, unresolved problem. Immediately after dinner, and then not the slightest hint of the immediate commotion, as speculation and confusion rang in the corridors of the palace. Several court aides were seen hurrying to the royal palaces with hurried expressions on their faces. The running bits were, at other times, encouraging internal decline in an attempt to mitigate the decline of what are now more likely public expressions of disagreement within the royal family itself. Workers whispered anxiously to one another, their conversation betraying the hardness of the ground. Despite the brothers dealing with the potential fame and desperately trying to maintain unity at some undetermined point in the future, it turns out that the incident has shattered their carefully assembled image of unity in the mouth of the. But as is often the case with high-profile scandals, an unforgivingly rapid response from the public and the media. Theories and gossip exploded on social media, with many royal viewers presenting their minds at the family's information. The headlines read, "Great Royal Thanksgiving Dinner," and "Family Feud Exposed at Thanksgiving Dinner." In the days that followed, commentators and professionals sought to recognize the state of affairs. Some said the public outburst critically damaged the photo of the royal-owned family, at the same time as others said it changed into just a symptom of a family whose internal affairs all of us might be upset with. As extra information emerged, the media frenzy intensified, and public attention centered at the royals worried within the controversy and the real cause of the controversy. The war of words spread like wildfire. Within hours, databases were trampling speculative memory, and social media was flooded with theories about what went wrong long ago. In a dramatic roundabout, the palace broke its traditional silence and issued a quick and fully worded announcement the next morning. The manifesto states, "The royals value their privacy and are handling the latest activities most appropriately." While conversations throughout the dinner were also lively, they revealed the complexity of relationships and ideas that could be part of any similar group. Energy drinks. Concerns approximately the royal circle of relatives' destiny and their ability to hold their picture in the face of inner warfare had been raised using the Thanksgiving verbal sparring health. Being one of the maxima closely watched households in the world, the royals are predicted to uphold a nearly impossible widespread that includes grace, cohesion, and an experience of duty always. But this incident has found that beneath the opulence and subculture, they are a set of spouses and children managing the identical conflicts and headaches that affect ordinary households. The principal takeaway from this incident is that even households that seem photographed best in the outdoors have to have their percentage of arguments and tough conditions. No matter how famous or esteemed, no circle of relatives may be used as evidence of the complexity of interpersonal interactions. Even though the royal circle of relatives is once in a while held up as an example of concord and etiquette, miscommunications and conflicts stand up within each circle of relatives. Although this truth is probably shocking to three, it humanizes them and provides some relatability to their otherwise opulent lives. Although the Thanksgiving dinner can also have been humiliating for them, it additionally has a deeper meaning and is now remembered by the general public as a fantastic window into the internal workings of the royal circle of their own family. It emphasizes how crucial open verbal exchange, sharing of expertise, and the opportunity for forgiveness in internal families are. Arguments are unavoidable and herbal, but how they will be treated and settled says loads about the energy and resiliency of own family ties. This episode is supposed to function as a launching pad for boom and introspection for the royal circle of relatives. It now, not simplest, facilitates them to build a better experience of harmony and collaboration among themselves, but it also gives them the possibility to observe the underlying issues which can have contributed to the anxiety. The beneficial aid of this vulnerability makes it feasible to adapt, settle lengthy status reputational issues, and establish a basis of mutual know-how and perception in the location. Those who know the monarchy are at risk of dropping their faith in the royals as a result of this royal division. They aren't seen as indestructible representations of perfection, but rather as a possibility for human beings to navigate the equal hard occasions and complexities that make up all human interactions. It reminds us that life is frequently not as remarkable as it seems, even in the most opulent mansions. In many cases, the well-rehearsed speeches, the amazing public performances, and the meticulously maintained facade of fraternal love conceal the tumultuous dynamics that may be truly skilled. The future of this Thanksgiving drama remains unclear as the royal circle of relatives moves ahead from the chaos. Public speculation and punctiliously worded palace feedback also can be used to rule out the instant aftermath, but the real ramifications of the tragedy will most in all likelihood emerge as obvious within the months and years to come. The dynamics of the family circle may be substantially altered by using this pivotal second, which also raises questions about their ability to offer non-public apologies and restore the public's picture of their unity. There are almost apparent attempts to patch up divisions in the back of closed doors. Immersed in responsibility and lifestyle, the income family is aware of the accusations of speaking as a unified front, especially when conducting research. This is no longer an excellent cleaning job to improve your family, however. Rebuilding and repairing relationships is made more difficult by sustained resentment, deep tension, and unwavering societal scrutiny. Will their family be able to separate their changes for greater accuracy? Or will the opportunity inevitably leave them in mourning? This incident has already modified the general public's opinion of the monarchy. This Thanksgiving dinner offered a unique look at the royals' greater compassionate human facet, even though they've long been famed for their capability to preserve poise and dignity in the face of worry. It has challenged the perception of the royal circle of relatives as a symbol of perfection and balance, instead imparting them as people grappling with the equal conflicts and feelings that affect all households. This newfound vulnerability ought to circulate in every method. It just wants to make royalty from the party more appealing to its supporters, who see this as proof of their humanity and relatability. It will, however, lend further credence to critics in their argument that the empire is an archaic institution desperately digging out to function in the sophisticated field of international negotiations. The manner the circle of relatives handles the fallout can be important in figuring out which narrative prevails. The opportunity for public revelations looms huge over this example. In a technology in which the demand for transparency often clashes with the monarchy's preference for discretion, there can be typically the chance that private information has to grow to be public statistics. Whether through leaks, tell-all interviews, or unauthorized bills, such revelations need to reshape the royal panorama, supplying splendid insight into the inner workings of the own family. If those revelations had been to rise, the effect is probably seismic, probably difficult the very foundation of the monarchy. The public, already divided in their opinions of the organization, can also turn out to be even more polarized. Supporters may in all likelihood rally in the lower back of the family, emphasizing the pressures they face and the significance of keeping their way of existence. The possibility can also be utilized by critics to call for changes or even to invest approximately the monarchy's destiny position in current society. Despite the uncertainty, there may be one brilliant spot. Following this fantastic Thanksgiving meal, the royal circle of own family will substantially change. In a massive aspect, the choices the circle of relatives makes, shifting in advance, will decide whether this second is considered as a turning factor for increase in reconciliation, or as the start of a deeper unraveling.